Beautiful, blonde, and curvaceous, Nikki didn't wake up on the morning of her 21st birthday planning to commit murder. Her special day started out perfectly fine. She ate breakfast with her father on the veranda of their Beverly Hills mansion, and he told her, "I'll be home from the studio early, baby. We'll have dinner at Dan Tana's. I've got a surprise for you." Nikki yelped, "A surprise? What is it?" William Sherwood laughed. "If I tell you, it won't be a surprise, will it? It's something you've been wanting a long time. You'll see." "You promise you'll be home early?" He stood and kissed her cheek. "I promise." At 9 o'clock, with a tear-streaked face, Nikki stood at the window of the upstairs landing, looking for her father's headlights and listening for the sound of his car. When she heard the roar of the Jaguar's motor and the lights appeared in the driveway, she ran downstairs to meet him at the front door. Multimillionaire William Sherwood, 60 years old, had a full head of silver hair, an athletic build, and an attraction to very young women. He and his date for the evening came stumbling into the house. The girl was about Nikki's age, and except for the auburn color of her hair, she bore a striking resemblance to Nikki, who hated her immediately. He didn't notice Nikki standing there and stopped in the doorway. The two of them staggered backwards into the door, pushing it open further and sending it crashing in Nikki's direction. She stepped aside to avoid it, and her father finally noticed her. "Hi, honey, going out?" he slurred. "Good for you. We were just coming in." With their arms wrapped around one another, the two of them went staggering through the house. He stopped by the bar to pick up a bottle and some glasses and went out the French doors to the pool. Nikki watched them for a moment and then turned and ran back up the stairs to her room. "He promised to take me out for a special dinner. He promised he had a surprise for my birthday. Why did I think this time would be different? Daddy never keeps his promises." She stood in the dark on her balcony looking out over the pool and watched her father and the young woman. They had a few drinks, and then the girl did a slow strip, swaying in front of Sherwood, who watched attentively. She wasn't wearing anything under the short, silky dress she pulled over her head. She kicked off her heels, walked leisurely down the steps into the water, and began swimming. Sherwood watched her do several slow laps. Then he took off his own clothes, threw them in a heap on the tile, and plunged into the pool. Nikki could hear them laughing and talking as they played grab-ass under the water. After a few minutes, they climbed out, and the redhead stretched out on the large, double-sized chaise lounge. Sherwood climbed on top of her. Nikki stood in the shadows of her room and watched. One more broken promise. What had been tears of hurt became tears of rage. When Sherwood finished with the redhead and rolled off her, she stood and gathered her clothes, then picked up his slacks, held them out to him, and said something Nikki couldn't hear. Her father pulled his wallet out of his pocket and handed the girl some money. She leaned over, kissed him on his forehead, and left. How is she going to get home? Is someone picking her up? Sherwood threw his pants back on the pool deck and poured himself another drink. A big drink. Nikki watched him until he finished the tumbler of liquor in only a few swallows and dove back in the pool. She knew he would do the same 20 laps he did every morning before he dressed and every night before he came to bed. She walked down the stairs and out to the pool. In spite of the alcohol, her father was swimming a respectable Australian crawl. Nikki knelt down at the end of the lane he was using. When he reached her and was preparing to turn for the next lap, she reached out and took a fistful of his hair. She smacked the top of his head hard against the tile. His skull cracked loudly in the night stillness. Once was enough. He went limp. Still gripping the handful of hair, she held his head under water until the air bubbles stopped coming to the surface, and then pushed him back away from her and left him floating face down. He shouldn't have broken his promise.